there YouTube, Big G, back again with another video, and this time somewhat a little bit different. As you can notice, it's dark outside. It's now 9 o'clock on a Friday evening, and guess what? Once again, no power. The joys of living in Africa. This is our second power outage this week. We're averaging about 1 to 2 power outages each week, and I mean, they've even got a name for it. We call it load shedding. I mean, that's just a nice way of the government putting it, that they're just not coping at the moment. So yeah, I'm sitting outside. Yeah, it's a little bit, there's nothing else I can do. It's a Friday evening. Gonna play a little bit on the Game Boy or something like that just now. Otherwise there's nothing much else that I can really do. So I thought I'd do a little bit of a ramble, and yeah, what else to, you know, and this ramble is mostly going to be about a couple of complaints. Sometimes it's just better just to complain about something, and then, you know, you feel a bit better about it afterwards. So yeah, power outages, it's a way of life here in South Africa. And well, it's becoming a way of life. I mean, there's nothing more frustrating. Coming home on a Friday evening, I was busy going into a game of League of Legends and waiting in queue, and the game just started, and guess what? Power's off. So besides the fact that I'm sure we get a couple of bans now from the other players who were irritated because I left, now I sit, you know, I had plans on messing around a bit on my Wii U. I managed to get Assassin's Creed during the course of the week, and I haven't had much time to actually do much playing during the course of the week, because now we're moving into our busy season where I work. You know, we're coming into December, things start, you know, getting busy. I have less time now, and what can I do? Nothing. The other thing that is really getting to me is that you know, unfortunately, living in a small town here in East London, in South Africa, the opportunities there's not many opportunities to do much game hunting in the wild. You know, I have to visit auctions, I go to garage sales on Saturdays, but things are scarce, you know, there's not a lot around. So I find that most of my game collecting or retro collecting is done online. Now, unfortunately, that's also taken a bit of a hit through circumstances that I cannot control, and that is the post office strike. You know, it's absolutely unbelievable that in this day and age the post office can go on strike. And yes, I understand strikes. I mean, strikes are a way of life here in South Africa. I mean, we even have a strike season where everybody goes on strike. It's just a way of life. Everybody's on strike. Whether it's the nurses, whether it's the doctors, whether it's the cops, whether it's the prison warders, you name it, emergency services, whatever. People go on strike. And, you know, even in my workplace, people go on strike. And actually the workers look forward to a good strike. You know, it's time spent at home or whatever. And, you know, it hurts the companies they work for, but they don't care. It's unfortunate. So the post office strike has unfortunately hampered my game collecting, because, you know, I purchase a lot of items online, eBay, the local auction sites, and guess what? All those items are sitting in Johannesburg. So, you know, I've got about 6 items on eBay that I'm waiting for over 3 months, 4 months. You know, if I do the tracking, it just says Customs Johannesburg, and there I wait. Now, what's disturbing is that the strikers, obviously, you know, not getting their way, have to take it out on the parcels. Unfortunately, somebody's got to pay for their misery and their lot in life. So a lot of them have been burnt. You know, I've seen pictures, horrendous pictures, of mountains of parcels, and my parcels are amongst those. And guess what? The guys are jumping up and down on the things, breaking them, trashing them. You know, having wonderful fun, toying and singing and dancing and just having a whale of a time, smashing everything. That doesn't belong to them. I mean, it's not their property. You know, if you're having a strike, take it out on your employer. You know, don't take it out on us, the customers, as such, because inevitably what happens is we'll stop using the post office, which means that you'll lose your job at the end of the day. Although in South Africa, not many people lose their jobs when they work for the government, because, you know, you just get transferred or promoted, one of the two. But be it as it may, you know, I'm a little bit peed off because I will have these parcels sitting there in Johannesburg Customs, and there's nothing I can do about it. There was a parcel or a package that I sent through to a fellow YouTuber, HP Zeta, ages ago, Is he ever going to get it? I don't know. And the worst thing about it is somebody's going to steal something or take it or whatever, because I mean stealing is a way of life. And the guys are going to open it up, they're going to see it's old computers, and they're going to say it's trash, and out it goes. It has no value to somebody else. It's not something you can go and sell easily, unless to another collector. So, maybe, I don't know what will happen at the end of the day. They're hoping that the strike will end January. By January everything will be back to normal. I don't know how things can ever be back to normal. Me personally, I think the only way that you could end the strike is if you had to actually just start posting their salary checks to them. Post the salary checks to all the postal employees, and guess what? They'll have to go off strike because they're going to have to dig through those mountains to get their own salary checks. I think it'll be the most work they've ever done anyway. So yeah, those are two gripes that I'm having at the moment. The post office strike, this electricity outages. I mean, this is now becoming, I'm going to have to go buy a generator. Generators are expensive, they're noisy, just so that I can, not sit on a Friday evening at 9 o'clock and have no power. Got candles going over here in the 21st century, and it's really, really irritating. And unfortunately, we have an inept, corrupt government. It's living here in Africa, and they don't have a clue what they're doing. So these power outages are going to unfortunately be a way of life. It'll eventually be every week, constantly. There just simply is not enough capacity, and everybody knew there'd be not enough capacity. You cannot connect up millions and millions of people on the electricity grid. People, a lot of them don't pay for electricity. They get free electricity, or they steal the electricity and expect that the grid, which has not been maintained at all. The new government doesn't do R&M. There is no such thing as repairs and maintenance, unfortunately. You think breaks, you replace it. You break it, you replace it. Simple as that. You don't fix things. You don't keep things running, unfortunately. And so it's actually quite a catastrophe at the moment, because even big companies can't operate. At work we have huge generators, so when the power goes off, the generators have to run, and that's incredibly expensive to run, so it hurts the economy as well. But nobody's bothered. As long as we can supply electricity to our neighboring countries and so forth, free of charge, of course. We obviously owe them a lot of favors over the years. So old Bob in Zimbabwe, he gets his free electricity and so forth. But us South African taxpayers, screw you. You're not going to get your electricity. So so the rest of my evening, and hopefully it's going to come back on again. I mean, the other evening it went off at, about 10 o'clock at night. It came on about 2 o'clock in the morning. Now a lot of people might think, well, what's the problem with that? You're sleeping anyway. But think about all those people that are not sleeping anyway at that time. And personally for myself, I suffer from sleep apnea. So I sleep with one of those CPAP machines, the little on top of there. And you can't sleep with one of those if you don't have any power. So I had a miserable evening, and obviously your following day is miserable because you haven't slept properly. And if you're having 2 of those power outages every single week now, we had it now the other week, now it's becoming a regular occurrence, and all signs are it's going to continue like that. So well, anyway, it's enough moaning. As it comes to game playing side, I've been enjoying my Wii U. I'd be playing it now if I had the opportunity. I managed to get a couple of games again. Stuff going cheap at some of the stores that are discounting and moving the Nintendo stuff. It's actually a big pity that a lot of the stores are discarding their Nintendo stuff, because I think the Nintendo fills an important niche. We've got the Xbox One, we've got the PlayStation 4. We've got the stores are still selling the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. Some of our stores are still selling the PlayStation 2. And guess what? No Nintendo system. The Wii's discontinued. Now the Wii U has been discontinued. Some of them still have the 3DSs and so forth, but otherwise very little Nintendo stuff, which is a big pity, because I think Nintendo fills an important part in the actual hierarchy of games. It's not as powerful as but it definitely is next gen in my terms that I see it. and it's got some fun games on it. I must say, I was playing Assassin's Creed during the week, one of my latest pickups there, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I haven't really played it on the PC before. I watched my son play it a bit, because I don't play a lot of first person type games or third person type games, because I usually suck at them. But I actually quite enjoyed it, jumping up and down from building to building. Got good graphics, good animation and that. So yeah, I was enjoying playing that, and some more on my Wii games, which I've been enjoying as well. Especially since I've soft modded my Wii and I've downloaded some games, and there's a lot of games that are available, and there's some really good titles out there. So yeah, I've been playing a bit of that, and a bit on my handhelds. Early in the week, every time there's a power outage, I play a bit on the handhelds. It's the only thing that has power. So yeah, that is one upside, I suppose, of all these powers, is that I get to use my handhelds. Just I need to now remember to keep them charged, so that I can whip them out every now and then. So I'm playing Advanced Wars on my DSi at the moment. I've gotten quite far, so I should be finishing that probably over the weekend now, because I've got a feeling that these outages are going to continue. So yeah, what else is happening? Yeah, tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, I'll hit the garage sales, see if there's anything there. There's no auctions this weekend, they're just selling cars, and yeah, and then that's about it. Otherwise, there are quite a few items on eBay that have been tempting me, but unfortunately I cannot buy anything on eBay, or I try not to buy anything on eBay, because I know that it'll just never arrive here, and I feel it's unfair if somebody in the UK or in the States, that I purchase from, and they in good faith post it to me, and it gets caught up in our post office strike and it gets destroyed there, then I want a refund from them. I don't do that. If I know there's a problem, it's a risk that I take, unfortunately. So yeah, I've almost given up hope of those 6 items, and there was some nice stuff that was in there. There was an ESR meter that I purchased from Hong Kong, so that I can test capacitors, so I can start fixing some of my systems. Those things are expensive. Never going to arrive. A power supply for my Nintendo 64, because I don't have that. Never going to arrive. A memory pack for it. Never going to arrive. Etc, 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 and some games and stuff. So the only items that I've been purchasing on eBay is stuff that I'm sending to my cousin in the UK, so that I know within the next year or two, when he travels back here, or if I go over to the UK again, then I'll just just get the stuff via that sort of method. At least then I know that I'll definitely get it, because I can't trust the post office anymore. And it's a pity. It's a real big pity, because it really is going to hurt the economy, unfortunately. So that's just the way of life. So yeah, a little bit of a rant and a rave, but otherwise, hopefully things will get back to normal. We'll have power. I'll be able to start playing a few games again, get back onto YouTube again, and hopefully tomorrow, I manage to do some good video game collecting, and I manage to pick up something. Otherwise, yeah, it's enough moaning from me. I'm going to go break out the DSi and continue enjoying Advanced Wars. Okay guys, cheers from me.